Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, isn't this something new then? KBS After Dark, where you're going to get all of your supernatural, paranormal, creepy crawly weirdness that has made me such a firm favourite with all you woo lovers out there. Yes, and I know straight off the bat, you're thinking, what? He didn't even bother to make any new graphics for this new genre or new series of live streams that we're launching into. Very last minute decision, folks. Bear with me. Now that it's got going, I have got big ideas. And maybe you can't tell already. We're only about 1 minute into this. But I am probably at my most lively part of my day. You tend to catch me either on the pre-show or on the main Kev Baker show. Now, the main Kev Baker show is good because the way my body clock works, it's kind of like I get my main show out the way in the morning and then I've got like the rest of the day, or as it tends to be, the rest of the night to myself. It's a snowy night out there tonight, and it takes me back to when I was younger, living in the Highlands, and a snow like we've had today, it would weigh heavy on the power lines, or maybe knock a tree over, or something would happen where we were thrown back into a time where power cuts would take away the electricity. And I remember sitting around the coal fire. Sometimes we'd have the candles out, but my mum, she used to be able to give a good yarn to pass the hours. You'd listen to the wind howling, snow falling, blowing a gale, all that good stuff. I tell you, this is the perfect day to start our After Dark because we've had our heavy snowfall here. And I hope you're all ready for 3 wonderful stories that's going to cover things like supernatural entities and the weirder side of the Men in Black. Yes, indeed. We've got a couple of rules around here, and these are rules that are really going to be a part of our After Dark show. In the chat room, we don't do politics, we don't do religion, and don't be a douche canoe. Can't say much fairer than that, right? So before we go away today, I will give everyone in the chat room, you see, you have to wait. I'm not making that mistake on the After Dark show. No, I know some of you just come to get a bit of dopamine and you leave again. I'm only joking. But I will be giving the audience a little shout out before we go today. And I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm really looking forward to it. I was 50-50 when I came off the Scrabble with my mum. But I thought, you know what? It's a good day. Isn't it? It's just a good day. I don't know. I think it's a good enough day to start this. Anyway, algorithm of algorithm. Now let me check. We had a little problem there with Streamlabs. Let me make sure it's still going through. I think it is. Oh, Mammoth doesn't leave. She lurks. Boom, boom. I like that. Good to see you. Wow. Like a blast from the past. Like the woolly mammoth, indeed. Yes, our very own mammoth hunter. Good to see you. So listen, let's get into a little bit of this creepy content that I think is going to prove to be a bit of a winner. I think so, anyway. So we're going to start off with supernatural entities. Skinny and sinister in black. This comes from our good friend over at the Mysterious Universe, okay? Here we go. I love that mammoth emoji, Lewis. Nice one. I like that. We've also got our very own emojis here. We've got a Mothman. We have got a safe space. We've got a traffic cone. We've got unicorns. We've got a shoe. We've got a koala. We've got lots of things in there. There's a little selection. Yeah, exactly, Polly. We all miss Justa. But if it's anything like last time, he'll come out of the blue just when we need him. Just when we need him. So then, let me take us into our KBS After Dark. That's a cool name, right? Really cool name. We've got Mystery History. I mean, that took me hours to think of that one. And now we've got After Dark. Think of all the graphics I need to make. This is brilliant. It's going to be a good year, 2021, ladies and gentlemen. You stick with me here. Got you covered. If nothing else, I'll take your mind off the madness. Make mention of the sinister Men in Black to most people, and they will likely think of Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. Now, do you know, really crap factoid here, I've never watched that film. You're probably thinking, oh, come on, Kev, everyone's watched The Men in Black with Will Smith. I can't stand Will Smith. Nothing against the guy personally. Don't know him personally, but as an actor, he's just, yeah, I don't know. Anywho, indeed, there is no doubt that the hugely popular trilogy of Men in Black movies have cemented the image of the MIB in the minds of millions and all across the planet. The movies have achieved something else too. They have ensured that many people assume the Men in Black are secret employees of an equally secret government agency which investigates the UFO phenomenon in stealth. And I bet there's people out there that probably think that the Men in Black go hand in hand with the black helicopters. Me personally, I think they're absolutely two separate entities altogether. But we just don't know. And it's where we don't know, or should we say, the where, the what, the when, the why, or no, the where, the what, the when, the who, I've forgotten it. We'll get back, I'll get it back, I'll remember it. Let's get back to our story, right? Dave needs to remember that. Here we go. The reality, however, is far different. It's a fact that the overwhelming majority of people who have reported encounters with the Men in Black describe something which is far removed from the worlds of government, the military, or the intelligence community. Their encounters are far more slender man-like. In other words, skinny monstrosities. Now, let me just break in there, because our very own Armand, and it might be a bit late for Armand, he's in the UK, and for anyone in the UK who thinks, oh, all right, Kev's going on in the middle of the night, that's not very fair to the UK audience. I know it's not, and that's why I'm not doing away with the pre-show stream. It's just that some days we will do the after show, and don't you worry, UK, I've got you covered, So much to come from KBS. I can hardly contain myself. But the Men in Black, for me, up until I heard the Mothman Prophecies, which Armand gifted me on Audible, I probably would have leant towards the Men in Black being very much human and very much part of an alphabet agency. Some bizarre, almost Mulder and Scully type unit. People that had probably, done something wrong in the FBI, or they were a bit boisterous. They'd probably get shoved in a broom cupboard and told to follow up this kind of thing, right? But then the Mothman Prophecies. Wow, John Keel. Now, myself and Travis Short discussed this. The Mothman Prophecies does not do that piece of work justice. It just doesn't. Because the Mothman portion of that actual book, that work, it makes up such a little part of the entire work put together by John Keel. And the thing that really I took away from it more than the Mothman, of which there was plenty about the Mothman, and it's the Mothman Prophecies, right? But the Men in Black stuff, that has stayed with me, very much so, to the point where I don't believe they're human anymore. Or at least, if they are human, they're from a different time or a different dimension. Bizarre, weird, I know. But I'm just being honest with you. That's where I tend to lean towards when I hear these types of stories. But you get into the ones like Nick Redfern's talking about here that go beyond even some of the stuff that John Keel was talking about. I'll tell you, listen to this. Harold T. Wilkins was a UFO researcher who in the 1950s wrote several books on UFOs, including what was certainly his most well-known and popular title, Flying Saucers on the Attack. Now, Wilkins was also someone who found himself on the receiving end of a number of Men in Black themed reports. One such report described certain uncanny events which occurred in Los Angeles, California in 1953 and that are highly relevant to the theme of this article. Wilkins' source of the story insisted on anonymity, but revealed that it all revolved around a particular attorney's office in downtown LA. According to Wilkins' informant, a pair of men dressed in black appeared at the building one evening and demanded to see the director of the company. Now, the pair insisted that they be hired to investigate recent reports of missing persons in the city. Those mind-controlling skills of the men in black ensured that they were quickly, albeit briefly, hired. But there was something about the pair that just was not right. Actually, there were a few things that were just plain wrong. Horribly wrong. And no laughing at my lockdown hair, folks. I know I've got a hairdo that rivals the Slender Man's multiple octopi arms that he's got going on there, but no laughing at the hair. Don't be cruel. Don't be judgy because of my hair. Come on. So, those employees who caught sight of the men in black, who spent most of their time locked in one particular office, and who spoke with practically no one, said they were very skinny. Now, again, don't be judgy, okay? I am very, very skinny myself, and I would shudder to think that if I was attending my next funeral somewhere and I donned the black suit, I don't want people thinking I'm one of these fellas. You feel me? Don't be judgy. They were both in excess of 6.5 feet. See, now that's me well ruled out, right? Well ruled out. There are 6.5 feet in height. And they were described as having strange hands and fingers. The latter being extremely long and rubbery, as if they lacked joints or bones. On one occasion, according to Wilkins' notes, one of the staff, to her everlasting horror, saw the fingers of one of the men in black stretched to lengths of around 8 or 9 inches. Something which she added made the man's hand appear to resemble huge tentacles, ladies and gentlemen. Big 8 to 9 inch fingers. Really handy for picking your nose, I would imagine. In days, the men in black were gone. I need to stop the comedy if I'm going to make this like seriously spooky woo, don't I? Note to Dave, okay? In days, the men in black were gone. Never to be seen again. Of course, we should not underestimate the importance of the revelation that one of the tall and skinny men in black had tentacle-like fingers. In the 1940s, the Second World War was still raging, and that the people of Illinois city of Mattoon found themselves terrorized by a malevolent entity that became known as the Mad Gasser of Mattoon. Was he doing the rounds, doing smelly farts everywhere? The Mad Gasser. I'm just saying, the insane Gasser, on a number of occasions, turned up while his victims slept. Now, most of those victims were women, home alone, and whose husband were away fighting in the war, either in Europe or in the Pacific arena against the other bad guys. Matters began when the Rafe family had a most unwelcome visitor. The home was quickly overwhelmed by a sickening odour. It provoked instant illness. Nausea, vomiting, breathlessness were at the top of the list, and notably, the Slender Man is very often described as exuding odours, sometimes of a nauseous and foul nature, and on occasions of an oddly entrancing type. Now, mind-controlling, even if it's fair to say. urban Rafe was practically rendered helpless by the smell. Meanwhile, his wife in bed found herself temporarily unable to move, and in moments, however, the curious event was over. Now, let's think about this logically, okay? We're talking about really odorous smell entering the house. Could we be talking about some natural kind of gas that's maybe a pocket of gas that's come up from under the house? Something that they've inhaled that's making them even now, can't move and about to hallucinate, perhaps. Maybe hallucinate a man in black, or as they call him, the mad gasser. Could it be some kind of test that's going on an unwitting population? We don't know. But it says, well, look at the size of his hands. That's big hands, unless that's like things he's carrying in his hands. A strange, odd-looking dude. Barely 48 hours after the Rafe family was descended upon by the mad and malevolent thing with a penchant for gas, the Kearney family found itself on the receiving end of a visit of the most unwelcome type. And they were hit hard. It was around 11 p.m. that Mrs. Kearney was lying in bed, dozing, felt a terrifying paralysis slowly creep up her legs. And as the paralysis increased, a sweet smell, almost sickening in nature, completely enveloped the bedroom. She screamed for her sister, Martha. Hey, Polly.
PPP, my gas has pockets.
Gas in your pockets, I'm telling you, man. It sounds like a random dude that's been eating a lot of beans, and he's been running around, and I don't know, but I'm thinking there's something to do with some kind of gas going on here somewhere, to be honest with you, ladies and gents. But, hey, I provide, you decide, right? She screamed for her sister, Martha, who also found herself overwhelmed by the almost incapacitating smell. Who or what was responsible for the two attacks? The answer of sorts came when Mrs. McKierney's husband, Bert, a cab driver, came home not long after the night shift was over. And just as he reached the family home, Bert saw, on the front yard and peering through the window of their bedroom, a tall, thin man dressed in black. Connections? Maybe. Just maybe. Oh, holy shamoly. That's a good one. I hadn't heard that either of those ones before. Nick Redfern has done, apart from John Keel, he's probably done the most research into Keel's work on the Men in Black and his own accounts that he's been around and spoke to witnesses. He deals with the women in black as well, another phenomenon that we looked at just a few days ago. But I'm going to shove on a little tune, a little creepy bit of music for a minute. Get a little drink of coffee, let you all reset and get ready for our next KBS After Dark creepy story. It's going to be something sinister, something supernatural, something very, very woo. This is fantastic. 50 people in here. Awesome. You lot absolutely rock. Thank you. There we go. There we go. Yes, there are a lot of wrenches over here, Joseph. Maybe people don't really appreciate how that one happened. We used to be over on a far bigger channel, the main Kev Baker Show channel. So then when we fell foul, we wronged the algorithm. We decamped, we debussed over to KBS2 here. And that meant that we had the hardcore people that already knew a lot of them through YouTube, and we were getting to use Discord as well. And that meant they all got wrenched up when we came over here. And I said to them, I said, you know, at one point it was only wrenches in the chat room. It was at one point, right at the start when we came over here. But I did say over time we'll start to see we'll need those wrenches because we'll get bigger. That's not being egotistic or narcissistic. It's just if you keep going, it's what happens. You tend to get subs along the way. So, yeah, there's probably a disparity between the non-wrenched and the wrenched, but that's okay because we're future-proofing ourselves and there's a lot of good stuff to come. And that's why I'm predicting good things for 2021. I've got my coffee here. And I'll tell you what, this is actually quite good doing this at this time of night. Because this is when I try to wind down. And usually winding down involves me watching hour after hour of... Sometimes it's really good content. I enjoy it. But there's no learning done. There's nothing productive getting done by me. But this feels productive. And probably I'd be getting ready to listen to some woo at this time of night to try and wind myself down. So I'm quite enjoying this. And look, this is as lively as I get on a stream. This is it. I'm feeling great. It's like midday. The body clock is knackered, but we're now going to get into something in the UK. Well, yeah. It's UK related. And I'm going to save the weirdest sinister entity story for last. Okay, and if you can hear that in the background, it's not me keeping a Wookiee captive, it's Anne stretching. I know it doesn't sound like a girl stretching, but it's a girl stretching. Take my word for it, folks, because if that was anything other than Anne, I'd be out here, because that sounded pretty scary, right? I'm just saying, it sounded like a Wookiee scratching its back. Talking of Wookiees, let's get into some Yetis. Yes. Let's go over here. So we've got British... Oh, I didn't even take you over. British paranormal researcher saw a 6-foot Yeti with his own eyes. Now, let me come back to the main one there. Take that away. You get more of my ugly mush, or Dave, depending who you'd prefer out there. I know there's a lot of Dave fans, a lot of Kev fans, eh? Deal with it. But it was just the other day, I noticed a story in, I think it was Nature, or one of these magazines or websites, where in 2020, a lot of stuff happened, right? A lot of stuff went down in 2020 to make it memorable. But one thing we maybe didn't keep up with along the way was all of the new species of animals that were discovered. And again, that's almost paradoxical, right? I mean, it's anomaly. It's anomalous, even. Less people out in the world, more species being discovered. But it made me think. And it should make anyone think, really. We discover so, admittedly usually smaller, the insect type, every single year. And that's why I don't rule out the things that many would regard as cryptids. Now, if it comes to the Bigfoot, the Yeti, do I think it's a creature that we're yet to discover? In a way, but not like any of the other ones that are our dimension bound or earth bound. Because I think there's something very supernatural to these things. I think they're up there with ghosts and spooks and phantoms. And by that, I mean, you just don't know when you're going to encounter one. They don't reside here, but we sometimes see them here. For whatever reason. I don't know what causes it. I don't know if they physically manifest in our reality. I don't know if the veil comes down where we start to see into where their reality is. I don't know if physically you're going up and touching one. I am very, very open. Very open to what could be going on. And then you get into the ones about the Yeti. And that makes me think of the Himalayas. And then we get into mountains. And we know what the Kev Baker show and Freaky Friday think of mountains. We think they're very magical. And we look at them the way the ancients do. And not did, still do. As almost stargates. Very magical places indeed. And if they're magical places, and people in the past used to talk about entities that would come and go from these places, then who's to say that the Bigfoot or the Yeti isn't amongst them? Hey, it's where we deal with the woo over here, folks. It's all in play. It goes without saying. No politics, no religion. Don't be a douche canoe. And everything in the paranormal gambit is in play, right? So it says Andy McGrath, great name for a Bigfoot Yeti hunter. A British researcher of anomalous phenomena. You see, why can't I be called that when I go on to shows and talk? I'm always like Kev Baker, the Loch Ness Monster guy. A British researcher of anomalous phenomena. I do think that would be pretty good, right? Generally conducts research and analyzes phenomena regarding mysterious big cats or werewolves. You see, in the UK, we don't just have the wild men, the Bigfoot to worry about. We've got werewolves out there, for goodness sake, ladies and gentlemen. The British researcher did not really believe in the existence of Bigfoot. What? Wait, hang on. He believed in werewolves, but not Bigfoot? It's fascinating. So, really believe in the existence of Bigfoot or Yeti in his country until he saw the strange humanoid creature himself. Now, I haven't seen anything at all. Even Loch Ness. Nah, I wish I had. But that doesn't mean, hey, just because you haven't seen something doesn't mean it's not real. That's all I'm going to say. So it says legends of large ape-like beasts can be found all over the world. These ape-like mythical creatures are known as Bigfoot or Yeti, whatever you prefer to call them. And according to the urban legends, a Bigfoot is a two-legged, ape-like, huge humanoid creature and is described to be 10 to 20 feet tall. A 20-foot tall Bigfoot? I'm out of there. Dang, dude. I'm like a toothpick to that thing. It'd stand on me trying to get to people. And it's considered as an abomination. And some people definitely do view the Bigfoot as that. Our very own Bill Bean. He talks about how this is potentially of the Nephilim type bloodline thing. And I can't argue with that. We just don't know. Back in 2012, an amateur athlete spotted a fat, brown, fur-covered creature approach him before fleeting back into the forest. Now, the incident took place just 25 miles from London, UK, in the wooded area of Box Hill in Surrey. Now, the creature resembled an ape-human hybrid and was extremely muscular. Now, soon after, an eyewitness shared this story with a local researcher of anomalous phenomena, Andy McGrath. We need to get him on the show. What do you think? I am going to take a note of this name. I've heard that name before. I think it's from Ben Emlyn Jones. And if that's the case, that means I can easily get this dude. Andy McGrath. Great name. What's that? According to the British researcher of anomalous phenomenon, Andy McGrath, the belief that the Bigfoot indeed exist in the United Kingdom was completely absurd. However, his mind changed when he spotted the humanoid creature that scared a jogger with his own eyes. Now, when the eyewitness shared his story in detail with Andy McGrath, he decided to visit the very place where the runner spotted the shaggy creature and examined everything there properly. Now, at first, nothing strange was observed by him, but at some point, he heard something hitting hard on the tree trunk. Now that's that tree knocking that you hear. This is something that a lot of researchers, a lot of Bigfoot hunters, you'll even hear them doing it at times. They'll bang wood off the tree. It's meant to be the calling sign or the sound of a Bigfoot. I don't know. The noise was loud at the time, and at the same time came from afar and seemed to be coming from several directions at once. Now, as a man who used to sleep outside in the woods when I was in the army, and especially at night, sound is a weird thing, isn't it? Very, very weird. And I don't know if our sense of sound is heightened at night because obviously we can't see as far. It's like one of those natural built-in kind of instinctual things. I don't know. But yeah, sound is going to sound like it's everywhere. Weird. After some time, the noise stopped, however, approximately after 25 minutes, and the loud noise was heard again, and now it was much closer. Now soon Andy heard the sound of heavy footsteps, as if something was walking in the thicket, descending a gentle hill. And the place where the Bigfoot was seen, here it is in here. Box Hill Stepping Stones. The heavy breathing of the creature was audible. You don't want to hear that when you're in the forest, eh? Definitely don't want to hear that breathing down the back of your neck when you go and do a number one. You ain't going to get back to the tent in one piece, ladies and gentlemen. And then you got to worry about the Bigfoot as well. The heavy breathing of the creature was audible as the creature was coming close, and Andy had the feeling that he was being watched. Oh, that's a horrible, horrible feeling. Horrible feeling. Andy was expecting a dog walker to go by. What? Dog walker? You don't be sounding like that when you're walking a dog. But what he saw next has changed his perception towards many, many things. Then I turned and looked over my right shoulder, and there stood about 10 meters away from me, to my right side and just above the stairs, stood something I sincerely consider to be something like a humanoid ape. Now, the creature he saw was covered from head to toe with brownish grey fur. It's not that dude that turned up on Capitol Hill yesterday. I'm only joking. And its face was similar to that of a human. Did it have a horned hat on? But with a flat nose and a very large jaw ruled out. The top of the head was domed upwards. The creature stood up on two legs but appeared to slump forward, and the arms were very, very long, but in proportion to the body. The animal was very thick built. I can only say solid muscles. It was frightening, the build of this animal. I'm not sure how tall it was. I could estimate only 6 feet plus, but maybe more. It stood and looked at me for about 30 seconds before it turned around and left. But even as it left, it looked in my direction. Then I felt a strong, stale smell, which usually comes from farm animals, and this persisted for a long time. I believe, Andy, you may have urinated yourself at that point, because I would have. Imagine that thing just looking over its shoulder as it's left, you know? Kind of giving you the look. That look. Now, Andy now believes in the existence of the Bigfoot or Yeti and describes the incident as a game changer. And it's also changed his perception on the world of, perception of the world and fauna. Yes, indeed. Nice way to finish that. Surely is. I want to speak to Andy McGrath. I find it very interesting that a man that goes looking for werewolves and cats, I would expect him, if he's going to spin as a yarn, to be along those lines. If you're the guy that looks for cats, okay, I've seen a big cat. But then you throw a Bigfoot into the works. And listen, it was like, try to remember the year. 2015, 2016, that kind of time. Probably, aye. That's when I really first became aware of how much of a phenomenon the Bigfoot, or as we call them in the UK, the wild men. We had a guest on, Catherine. Was it Catherine? Kai? I can't remember her second name. But she talked about, she's a researcher of the Bigfoot phenomenon in the UK. It's actually a lot more, there's a lot more eyewitness accounts. There's a lot more information than I ever thought about. For a start, I didn't even know they were called wild men. And you would think, you look at the UK, there's a lot of wooded areas, a lot of hillsides, mountains as well. Stands to reason we've got our own version of it here. Why? Because you seem to have this story, this entity, be it a Yeti over in the Himalayas in that part of the world. You get the Yowies and the things down in Australia. You get all the various types of Bigfoot over in America, the skunk ape, what's one I was listening to there? Was the Rococo? I think it was down in down the south, some of the southern states in America. This was one that hung about in a swamp. I can't remember the actual name of it. Didn't see the end of that program, but with so many different local variations on this one thing that looks like a giant humanoid ape type thing, for me, there's too many stories. There's too much smoke for there not to be fire. There really is. And that, I suppose, is why I kind of love doing this kind of content. It really is. And I think that's why you love it when we get into the woo here. And I have saved the best for last. We've got 10 minutes or so until Algo goes live. I reckon we'll get wrapped up in time for that. It's just going to be a quick hour or so every night, folks. We've got Brent Thomas. He does his late night paranormal as well, so I don't want to collide with any of my good friends out there. But this next story we're going to get into, oh boy, holy shamoly, this is a good one. This will turn the creep factor right up. Turn down the lights. Grab yourself a nice cup of tea. Yeah. Curl up on the sofa, because we've got truly terrifying encounters with a smiling humanoid on the way. And you see, look at that, 63 people here. You see, the analytics, they don't lie. A popular man through the night. Popular man. Remember, and stick around at the end, folks. I'll be giving all of the participants in the live chat a little shout out. I'll be giving people a little shout. We're in the chat room. Supreme Chancellor says there's no reason why a large cat couldn't live in Northern Europe. Plenty other, enough prey like sheep and deer. Absolutely, Supreme Chancellor. Up the Highlands in Scotland, big cats. Got the lynx, the jaguars, and then of course you've got the cats that, like exotic cats that have been just abandoned. You know, and for whatever reason, people get these animals and they don't want to keep them, they don't know how to keep them. And that means that over time, there's every chance that there might be another generation, some kind of hybrid. Some of the feral cats we get in Scotland get to a fair old size, you know. So yeah, the big cat stuff, pretty cool. Good shout, good shout. But like I say, I feel I've saved the best for last, or it could be the worst, as in, whoa. Creepy. Yes, indeedy. Thank you all for being here before we get into this story. Pretty cool. I like this. Pretty cool. It's like the final hour of Freaky Friday. I can do this, no bother. So yes, we'll be making new graphics and getting new music that will be very appropriate and themed to the After Dark or After Party. We'll decide what we call it. We've also got our Mystery History series where we need to get new graphics done. And that'll be on the way, and a lot more coming on here and over on the bigger channel as well. So lots to look forward to. One more story to get to today. Like I say, this is the one that made me go, whoa. Hang on. This comes from the website Infinite Explorers, and a big shout out. They'll be listening probably tomorrow, catching up because they're over in Poland. Big shout out to the Gherkins. They send me some absolutely cracking stuff. There's just, wow. You could probably dedicate a channel to the links I get from there alone, but sometimes I stumble across websites that I'm not familiar with, and this infiniteexplorers.com, it's got it all. We're going to talk about the true terrifying encounters with the smiling humanoid. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. Our world is full of stories of normal, anomalous people who, while living their daily... Yeah, I thought that doesn't sound right. Normal, anomalous, because it says they're normal and they're anonymous. Yes, both Kev and Dave have definitely got a slight touch of dyslexia going on. I didn't know that when I was younger, but I definitely appreciate it now. Anywho, definitely anonymous people who, while living their daily lives, have an encounter with an inexplicable or unnatural that defies logic and rationality. Whether it's strange lights in the sky, my goodness, look at that thing, an encounter with a ghostly apparition, or a smiling humanoid, also known as the Smiling Man. Bet nobody's smiling by the end of this. The stories have been and will continue to be told by people who perhaps by chance had an encounter with something they couldn't easily explain or understand. For several months towards the end of 1966, Point Pleasant in the US state of West Virginia became the center of attention as dozens of people reported seeing something similar. And this creature was known as the Mothman.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
You knew it. These encounters were a warning of the terrible event that was about to occur in this small town in Virginia. The collapse of the Silver Bridge that resulted in 46 people not coming home that day. And while the US media reported on the incident, encounters occurred with another strange humanoid creature that has been linked to the UFO phenomena. The smiling humanoid, also known as the grinning man, because in all encounters with this being, one of the most remarkable elements is the evil smile on the face of the humanoid. According to John Keel, hats off, the researcher who introduced Mothman, the Smiling Man first appeared in 1966. In his book, Strange Encounters from Space and Time, gonna have to get that, Keel recounts what I considered the first recorded encounter with this sinisterly smiling humanoid. In October 1966, a woman reported that she was being chased by a tall green man. It was also reported that on the very same day that two children were walking down a New Jersey street, and suddenly the same smiling humanoid appeared before them, standing behind a fence, looking at the house in front of the children. Now the smiling humanoid was behind them and wearing a green suit that reflected the light from the streetlights. He felt the two young men looking at him in amazement, so he turned and he began to smile, a smile that spread from ear to ear. The children could see his face clearly. The same night, a few kilometers away, the police received several calls from people who claimed to have seen a very bright white UFO, or UAP as they're now called. Even several agents of the authority witnessed the strange objects in the sky near a pond. So, it is believed by many that the smiling man was an extraterrestrial being. Now, 3 weeks later, a salesman named Woodrow Derenberger claimed to have had an encounter on the road with a strange-looking being. As he was driving, he saw what appeared to be a person, so he decided to stop in case he needed help. He spotted a tall, bald man wearing a metallic blue suit. He could see that the strange man had slightly elongated eyes and an insane smile, like Jack Nicholson trying to burst through the door on The Shining or something. The mysterious man left his name Indrid Cold, and the two had a strange telepathic conversation before the entity left, saying that they would see each other again. Now, the first encounter happened near Point Pleasant, the place where about 2 weeks later, where the Mothman sightings were reported. And Derenberger claimed that Indrid Cold visited him on several occasions, and that he revealed that he was an alien from the planet called Lanulos, located in another galaxy. Moreover, the seller claimed to have visited Cold in his home world, and that he had met many other beings like him. He wrote a book explaining his experiences, however, and he lost his job, wife, and some say even his head. Now, he eventually passed in 1990, and some believe that his obsession with a smiling humanoid ended his life. But aside from the cases detailed by Keel, others also occurred outside of US borders. In fact, a creature similar to the smiling humanoid was described in 1978 by an Italian vigilante named Pier Fortunato Zanfretta, and he claimed to have been attacked by a monstrous extraterrestrial creatures, and under hypnosis he was forced to board a spaceship. Now, on December the 3rd, 1978, Zanfretta heard a strange person calling him while he was working at a gas station. Now, according to his description, he was a humanoid creature with an egg-shaped face, dressed in a checkered suit and a metallic shirt of sorts. What on earth? Now, when was this? Back in 1978. Oh, okay, fashion was a bit wild then, perhaps. Although the Italian watchman did not mention at any time if the creature was smiling or not, its clothing has led many people to think it could be the same humanoid described by John Keel. That face is terrifying. Terrifying. Is it just me? That's sinister, right? Oh, that's one that's going to be hard to unsee when I go to bed tonight. I'm just saying. So who or what is really Indrid Cole? The where, the what, the when, the who, the who. Because the why is the who and the who is the why. Yes, exactly. Who knows? Listen, I don't know anymore. That's really made me a bit, don't know. There are reports of a tall, smiling man in connection with incidents of nocturnal beings, where he appears standing in front of the bed, and sometimes terrifyingly even in accounts of alien abductions. Now, it's been speculated that these creatures are human-alien hybrids, beings from other worlds, or even the Men in Black themselves. Because for me, there's a weird factor to the Men in Black. There's a weird factor to a lot of what we're talking about here. A lot of it, and I think it's all interconnected. What does it mean? I have no idea. However, it is claimed by skeptics that Keel may have made up the entity and the stories, or simply varied the New Jersey youth incident to make it sound weirder than it actually was. Who was the mysterious humanoid named Indrid Cold? It's impossible to say, although the fact that many alleged encounters had no actual connection to Darren Berger's description of a man smiling and appearing at the same time as the alleged UFO sightings indicates that Cold could indeed be an alien being. It says here, have you ever had an encounter with a smiling humanoid? Is it an extraterrestrial being, a ghostly entity, or is it just an invention? Well, you can't fill in that box below, but you can tell me in the chat room while we get ready to close this down. And I thank you all for being here for our first KBS After Dark. I'm liking After Dark. I like that. But we have got Joseph Crow in the chat room. Good to see you, War. Good to see you, man. Kevin Duggan is in there as well. Does the creature smell hair? Now, they're the weirdest ones of all, aren't they, Kevin? You need to avoid those ones. Bruce Lane says there's a disco dancer escaped into the parking lot. It sounded like somebody at a Bee Gees concert, didn't it? Definitely. Got Rose in there. We got Leslie. Who else we got in there? Let's see. War Child, good to see you. Marty. Baby Yoda. Yo. I got a Joker feel about that one as well. Yep. Definitely a Joker feel about that one, right? I'm not sure if we've covered Indrid Cold on the show before. I really don't think we have. Let's see who else we've got. We've got Rose, Bruce, Lewis, War, Tim DeMar, Culture. I like that. Major Woo. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Cool name. Joseph, good to see you. Maybe okay if he and she chill. Yep, absolutely. Must see the Mothman Prophecies 2002. Is that a movie, Bruce? Good one. Good shout. If it's anything to do with Keel's work, it's got to be good. Baby Yoda. Sounds like a leprechaun. Oof. You don't want to get messing with one of those things. Bad news. John Nelson's in there. The Joker, Smiling Man, based on the silent film The Man Who Laughs, 1928. Thank you, John. Really cool. Really cool. Who else we got in here? We got Zoe. Good to see you, Zoe. Polly. Polly went for a sleep earlier, so he's raring to go as well. Queen Goddess, great to see you. Polly was first today. I think Rorschach, Mad. Malaya, obviously, good to see you as well. My Marty, Queen Goddess. We had Mammoth in here. I don't know if she's still here anymore. But it was good to see Mammoth again, right? We're going to be having Luna and I think Kevin. I need to speak to Kevin. He's going to be on Freaky Friday tomorrow night. We'll find out more about that. Supreme Chancellor. Love it. Great name. Regla. Yes, indeedy. We got Rose. I think I done you, Rose. But we'll shout you out again. Because that's how we roll here, right? War Child. I think we've done you. I think we've maybe done about all we've got here. Kevin. Leslie. Yep. I don't know. I think it's maybe better doing some at the start, some at the end. There's a lot of people in here now. If I've missed anyone, I do absolutely apologize. I really do. I don't see any new names coming in at the end there. So listen. What's this, Malaya? I'll shot the TV, no biggie. Hold it still for me, bang. Ah, it's the Joker. Yes, it is. Exactly. Good. I held it there for you. I hope you got it. Only 55 minutes late to the party. Still, better late than never, though. Mammoth, thank you very much. How's Whistles? Whistles is attending his fish over in the kingdom of Whistles. Johnny's enjoying life, the quiet life over on the East Coast in Fife with Junie. And yeah, last I checked, I'll need to check in with him again because I lost my old Facebook account. Long story. Me, Scotty, and the man I dare not mention his name on here. Verboten one. Popeye. Yeah, so I need to catch up with Johnny again. But we'll definitely, I'd love to get him on, but I don't think he's got a computer right now, or if he does, there was something that was preventing him coming on anyway. But I'll make sure, in fact, tomorrow, I'll make sure I message him and tell him that you're all asking for him. And I want to thank you all for being here. Something new. KBS After Dark. Something new and something woo for 2021. And I'm telling you, folks, turn those frowns upside down. It is a great, great year to be here. Yes, indeed. I want to thank you all for being part of KBS and our little Wookiee crew we've got going over here. And I suppose it'd be rude not to with the content we're doing. You know what's coming next. Keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. There we go. I'm out of here. Remember, if you hear a little noise during the night or something goes bumping, it's not something you're familiar with, don't automatically think it's the smiling man. But what if? Just what if? Listen, would I be wrong in saying a lot of you people really enjoyed this? It looks like this has been a successful endeavor. I mean, I've had real good fun. And if I'm picking up on you people out there having real good fun as well, oh, I think we might have found something new. Yes, indeedy, and, well, something woo. Shout out to the Whistler from all the KBS crew. We're out of here. Head on over to Algorithm, and I'll be back tomorrow.